Just begin by noticing your breath. No need to change it. Just noticing. And as you listen, you may find that something within you begins to settle, because you don't need to do anything. You only need to receive. And with each breath, you can allow your body to loosen, your mind to soften, and even if part of you is still thinking, another part of you can begin to drift, and you may not even notice the exact moment when you start to go deeper, because it can happen naturally, easily, now. And as you continue, you may begin to feel a quiet space opening inside, where things become clearer, simpler, more true. And in this space, you are not trying. You are allowing. And that allows you to go deeper now. And here, you may begin to notice that God is not distant, not separate, but present, aware, listening, and something within you has always been connected, because the same awareness that hears these words is the awareness that responds to Him. And as that connection strengthens, you begin to align naturally, and you may begin to realize that there is only one God. And as you place Him above all things, above every priority, above every desire, above it all that once competed everything within you begins to align, and you may begin to notice that you no longer create or hold any image, any attachment, any substitute for God, because what is created can never replace the Creator, and anything false begins to fade, and you may become aware of the way you speak His name, and without effort you begin to speak it with reverence, with presence, with meaning, because His name is not empty, and something within you honors that now. And you may begin to allow a sacred space for rest, not just in your body, but in your spirit, where you pause, where you reconnect, and you remember that you do not need to strive to be aligned with God, because in stillness you return to Him, and something within you begins to shift into a deeper understanding of your father and your mother and the role they played in your life, and in whatever way is true, you begin to honor not just who they were, but what they gave, and that creates space for peace. And you may begin to feel a deep, natural respect for life, for the life of others, and your own, because life is given by God and not taken lightly, and something within you protects life automatically. And you may begin to recognize the sacred nature of commitment, of trust, of union, and without force, you align with faithfulness, with integrity, because what is sacred is not something you break. And you may notice that you no longer reach for what is not yours, because you trust that what God provides is given, not taken, and what is meant for you comes through alignment, and you may begin to settle into truth, not just in what you say, but in how you see, because falsehood no longer feels aligned, and truth becomes your natural way of being. And you may begin to feel a release from wanting what is not yours, from comparing, from longing, because you trust that what God has for you is already unfolding, and in that trust you feel whole, and now you don't need to remember every word, because something deeper has already received, and what has been received is already becoming part of you, not as rules, not as effort, but as truth. Truth that feels familiar. Truth that feels natural, as if it was always there, waiting to be recognized. And you may begin to notice that without trying, your thoughts begin to reflect it. Your choices begin to follow it. Your actions begin to align, because alignment with God is not something you force. It is something you return to again and again and again. And in a moment, you can begin to return, bringing this with you, not leaving it behind, but carrying it as a part of you now. And as your awareness begins to rise, you may notice a sense of clarity, a sense of calm, a sense of alignment. And even if you can't explain it, something feels different. Something feels settled. And that continues even after this ends. So when you're ready, now you can gently open your eyes, returning fully awake, aware, aligned.